What's going on, Ronan? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're talking about the winter event coming to New World tomorrow on the 17th, and I believe going into January 11th. We'll find out here soon. One of the cool things about this event that I thought was unique was that it's going to be snowfall all over the place, and once the snow is gone, there'll still be traces of it in some of the ice caves, and I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to grab some footage from the PTR, but I was having issues logging in, so I have to scrap the footage here, but I'll try to be as clear and concise as I possibly can be with this, and I'll have timestamps in so you guys can jump to wherever you want to jump to. If you do me a favor and just hit the like button to help it out and get out there in the algorithm, feel free to turn this on in the background while you're playing the game or doing some other things and listen to it. With all that said, let's go ahead and jump into the Winter Convergence Festival, in-game overhaul, and more. So, starting here, Spotlight. The Winter Convergence Festival, the holiday of Winter Convergence, is upon us, a term marked by the appearance of increased snowfall and northern lights in the sky. This is a time of dichotomy and duality as the Winter Wanderer and the Winter Warrior come to the land. Icy winds and the Winter Wanderer bring with them new armors, weapons, furnishings, skins, consumables, and delightful present gifting emotes. Learn more about all the Winter Convergence has to offer on our Winter Convergence Festival event page, from activities such as Convergence Spirit decorations, Lost Present recovery, and Gleamite collecting, to danger-filled ice caves and festive loot. This event will bring special and limited time content into Eternal. The Winter Convergence Festival will last from December 16th to January 11th. Ice caves are appearing all over Eternum due to the Winter Warrior's desire for a forever winter. The rest of Eternum will look like these ice caves if the onslaught of the warrior is not stopped. These caves will remain behind after the event as scars on the land, sources of wintry magic that refuse to melt even if the warrior is defeated. And I believe this is the Winter Warrior here with that cool ice staff. Looks pretty sweet. Got a little Christmas tree going on here on the screen. So those are some cool screenshots there. Let's go over into the in-game update. Based on feedback on the high water mark system and our desire to have a compelling and diverse endgame, we've made some major changes to the endgame in this update. For more details on our vision and future changes coming, please see the Expertise Dave Corner article on our official forums. We renamed high water mark to Expertise and now display expertise values in the UI. Each slot on the character model in the inventory will now display what the current expertise level of that slot is. An average expertise value is also shown above average gear score on the inventory character model. Player will get a level up banner whenever they increase their expertise. We've added a new resource called Gypsum that can be acquired each day by doing a variety of activities: open world named bosses, expedition bosses, outpost rush, arenas, corrupted breaches, etc. Each activity rewards a different type of gypsum that can be crafted into a gypsum orb. These orbs can then be crafted into gypsum cast of any weapon, armor, or trinket type. Opening a gypsum cast will guarantee an expertise bump and gear of that type. So there's going to be obsidian gypsum for defeating level 60 plus open world named bosses found in elite landmarks, sapphire gypsum, defeating the final boss of the Lazarus Instrumentality and Garden of Genesis. Ruby gypsum can be found in outpost rush caches. Emerald gypsum will be found in trade skill aptitude reward containers. Citron gypsum will be found in arena caches. Amethyst gypsum found in breach caches, and topaz gypsum found on hostile creatures level 55 plus, but only after consuming a special attunement potion that can be crafted at a tier 5 camp. Craft the potion, drink it, and start defeating level 55 plus hostile creatures anywhere in the world to find them. This potion can only be crafted once per week. Diamond gypsum, found only during major events in Eternum. For the Winter Convergence Festival, level 60 players can earn this rare diamond gypsum the first 3 trees of light they interact with in settlements during the event. They've introduced a kiln station in all in-game zones that allows players to craft gypsum orbs from the various types of gypsum. Tuned down the general chances of getting an expertise bump to compensate for the guaranteed bumps that were added with gypsum. Elite chest odds were reduced a little, and open world bosses were reduced a lot. Expedition bosses remained the same. They've adjusted the potential range of an expertise increase based on the expertise level. In general, the ranges stayed slightly wider for further up the progression range, which translates into less overall increased moments required to reach the cap. So on average, most people will get there within fewer bumps than required. They've increased the rewards for expeditions. In addition to gypsum drops, each expedition boss will guarantee a random expertise bump. Note, arena bosses also guarantee a bump. Fixed all chests in Lazarus and Garden of Genesis so they have a chance to provide in-game expertise bumps. And they've added timeless shards to expeditions. So what are timeless shards? They're a new crafting ingredient that can be used to guarantee specific stats on weapons and armors. A timeless shard is a crafting artifact that enables the player to craft an item with a specific attribute bonus on it while still being able to use a craft mod to guarantee a perk. Timeless shards are guaranteed to drop from expedition bosses and have a chance to drop from elite chests in expeditions and elite points of interest. They adjusted 2 points of interest to become in-game content. The Malevolence Elite point of interest in Eden Grove was up-leveled to level 66 content and now has 6 elite chests that can all provide in-game expertise bumps. The Imperial Palace and North Dynasty Shrine elite points of interest in Ebonscale Reach were up-leveled to level 66 content and have 8 elite chests that can all provide in-game expertise bumps. They've increased the level of in-game corrupted breaches to 66, made a number of adjustments in the in-game difficulty to compensate for some accidental overtuning we did in the November patch. Our goal is to find a middle ground between the in-game content being too easy before November and the overtuned HP sponges we had afterwards. Market Guard difficulty adjustments reduced the difficulty of corrupted acolytes, cooks, priests, ogres, and commanders. Added an elite chest to Upper Herald and Merkguard near the named Commander Arcos Imperator. Ebonscale Reach adjustments reduced the difficulty of a variety of named AI in the open world, including alligators, boars, bears, and withered grunts. For the Imperial Palace North Palace Shrine difficulty, they reduced the difficulty of the named bear, corrupted tigers, dynasty spearmen, dynasty summoners, and dynasty warriors. Relocated Daisy the Dancing Bear, renamed and moved Morgulf. The Forbidden Ritual point of interest has been discontinued and replaced with a fast travel option. Several elite chests were removed into the final boss encounters of Imperial Palace and North Palace Shrine. Scorpius difficulty adjustments reduced the difficulty of the elite tendrils and Hellmouse and the named corrupted heavy. A busty superior inferior POIs replaced 2 large supply chests with elite chests. Additional corrupted musketeers were added to both POIs. Dead Man's Cove point of interest reduced the difficulty of the named ghost. For Brightwood Isle, they reduced the difficulty of the 2 named ghosts. Perryville reduced the difficulty of the named alligator ghost and undead hunter. Mangled Heights reduced the difficulty of the named corrupted elk and corrupted acolytes. Eridanus reduced the difficulty of the dryad shamans. Caminus moved an existing elite chest into the boss encounter with Caminus Gate Lord for a Svizkin stand. Reduced the difficulty of the 2 named acolytes and the named workmen. And Eternal Pool reduced the difficulty of dryad shamans. Also added a new platform, stairs, and walls so that Verdulian, the Rootbound, can navigate to players outside of the combat area. Under the World Experience section, for quests, the improvements added to main story quests. Destiny Unearthed has received a soloable option. The Nose has improved level design and new tasks associated with actually acquiring the ingredients for bear repellent. Triumphant Return now requires players to extinguish fires in Fort Alazar before rescuing Rima. They added new supplemental territory quests, 16 new quests added to Morningdale, and 13 new quests added to Restless Shores. There's new housing quests, and they put quotations around housing. 7 new quests added that are unlocked as players progress in their territory standing. These quests allow players to assist an idealistic architect as he undertakes a bold mission to construct new houses out in the wilds of Eternal. The architect will extol the virtues of home ownership and reward players with the new furniture and decor. Seek out Giacomo Al Tavoli in the settlement in First Light, Everfall, Monarch's Bluffs, or Windsward to get started. Completion of encroaching corruption required. I wonder if that means that they'll actually have housing outside of the settlements. Notable fixes: added more info to tell players that PvP faction mission player kills don't reset on death. Fixed an issue where killing corrupted Tendril AI did not progress the Adina's Fountain quest. Removed many elite quest prereqs for level 40 weapons and armor quest. Added better displays for the spirit shrine icons on the map like other POIs in the world. Quest marker for Visions of Invaders is now showing on the map. Fixed issues where certain Morningdale NPCs didn't have map markers for quest acceptance and turn-in. Fixed issues with players farming Captain Thorpe after clipping through Mirkgard Cathedral, and issues where players were able to clip through the walls of the attacker war camps. For Combat and AI, on Combat, due to an issue in our initial PvP damage formula that caused lower gear to be more beneficial in damage mitigation, we have updated our formula. We look forward to hearing your feedback on these changes. So the PvP damage formula was updated. They adjusted the way armor mitigation was calculated to use enemies' gear score value instead of your average gear score. To adjust for the difference in armor mitigation, we increased damage low-level players due to higher-level players, and reduced the damage that higher-level players due to lower-level players. That's pretty interesting. Crit damage application: critical damage bonuses from masteries or perks are now applied additively instead of multiplicatively. On average, these will reduce the extra damage they provide by 3 to 5%. Buffer windows: a general consistency pass has been done across all weapons to adjust the buffering windows for dodges, abilities, and basic attacks. The updated buffer window starts on the first frame of the attack that would deal damage, or on the first casting frame in the case of abilities that do not deal damage. For dodge, they fixed an issue where you could repeatedly dodge while in the exhausted state if you weren't pressing any directional inputs, and abilities which previously only prevented dodging, such as Ice Shower, would have been updated so that they now also prevent jumping. Under navigation, crouch and prone can no longer be toggled while holding the block button. Fixed an issue where traversing with auto run and auto traverse had a slight movement pause. An issue with character leg animations when sheathing staff weapons. An issue causing weapons to sometimes not equip properly when players switch between crouch stand into prone. Fixed an issue where players could clip through outcropping collision by using certain abilities while prone. Fixed an issue where players could desync their unsheathed weapons by repeatedly using prone and dodge commands. For the perks, they updated description to clarify that the damage bonus applies when the gem owner's health is below the specified percentage rather than their target for the Exhilarate gem perk. For the Retaliate gem perk, they updated description to clarify that the effect provided by this perk only lasts for a specific number of hits, added a status effect icon that will appear while the effect is active, also increased the number of hits players can perform while Retaliate is active from 1 to 3. For Keen Berserk, they fixed an issue where the perk tooltip was displaying inaccurate HP percentages. Additional perks added: logging efficiency, logging speed increased by 5 to 25%, mining speed was increased by 5 to 25%, skinning speed increased by 5 to 25%, harvesting speed increased by 5 to 25%, played crits, critical strikes against targets below 50%, health inflict disease for 6 seconds, reducing the health effectiveness of the target by 10% to 25%. Plague strikes, heavy attacks against targets inflicted disease for 8 seconds, reducing healing effectiveness on the target by 10 to 25%. Thwarting counter deals 5 to 15% additional damage against targets with active grit, melee weapons only. Thwarting strikes deals 3 to 12% damage while you have active grit. Trenchant strikes, fully charged heavy attacks deal 3 to 15% additional damage for melee weapons only. Trenchant crits, fully charged heavy attacks deal 5 to 20% additional crit damage. Trenchant Rend, fully charged heavy attacks apply Rend for 7 seconds, reducing target's absorption by 4% to 15% on a 12-second cooldown. For the Trenchant Recovery, fully charged heavy attacks heal the player for 10% to 30% of the damage dealt. For Physical Aversion, you take 2 to 4% less damage from ranged physical light and heavy attacks. Elemental Aversion, you take 2 to 4% less damage from ranged elemental light and heavy attacks. Outpost Rush, the initial spawn areas now have barriers preventing enemies from entering, and fix the crash that could occur when exiting Outpost Rush. Under Miscellaneous, they are using a consumable will now cancel aiming. Weapon Mastery Descriptions adjusted some naming conventions for and fixed multiple grammatical errors in our description. Fixed an issue where players could drop below 0 mana. Under Weapons, for Rapier, Tondo fixed the typo in the description. Lachey updated how this ability interacts with gravity to prevent it from being used to traverse up steep inclines. Heavy attack slightly reduced recovery time. Swiftness fixed an issue where the haste granted by this passive ability was applying at a shortened duration with each use. For the Fire Staff, Burnout updated how this ability interacts with gravity to prevent it from being used to traverse up steep inclines. Meteor Shower fixed an issue that allowed this skill to deal damage to targets through fort gates and war camp gates. Watch It Burn fixed an issue that prevented this passive ability from functioning. For the Warhammer, the charge has been updated to interact with gravity to prevent it from being used to traverse up steep inclines. Path of Destiny reduced hit stun from 1 to 0.33 seconds. For the bow, Rain of Arrows fixed an issue that allowed this skill to deal damage to targets through fort gates and war camp gates. The bleeding effect from Rain of Arrows can no longer be stacked by multiple players using the ability on the same target. This change was made to keep the ability consistent with other AoE skills that can be stacked on top of each other. Penetrating Shot, Blood-Soaked Arrow fixed an issue that caused this upgrade to increase damage with each hit instead of after each hit. Surprise Attack updated the description of this passive ability to specify that its effect is per target, improved all aim down sight transitions between abilities and primary shot. This also addresses an issue that prevented Penetrating Shot and Poison Shot from being cancelled after exiting the shots. Mark Upgrade fixed an issue where the damage increase would not cap. It will now cap at 30% damage increase against enemies with debuffs. The Hatchet Aim Throw increased recovery before being able to cancel out from the first 0.1 second of the attack to the first 0.45 seconds of the attack. And for the heavy attack, they reduced recovery time by 0.15 seconds. With the musket, they fixed an issue where the musket would reload slower when stamina was depleted, an issue where the player's back warped unnaturally while shielding the musket in front in the prone position, an issue where the shoot animation could be skipped, which unintentionally increased the musket's rate of fire, an issue that caused musket charge shots to not be expended while firing from the crouched position. For the Life Staff, Purify had its description updates specify that the target must be healed for debuffs to be removed. Beacon fixed an issue where the healing buff would persist on the caster after leaving the circle. For Ice Gauntlet, the Pylon Dodge has been updated to better describe the functionality in the tooltip. Ultimate Chill status bar debuff tooltip to be consistent with the new Weapon Mastery tooltip. Fixed an issue that caused Ultimate Chill status effect icon to appear to stack. Blocking Stamina, they fixed an issue that allowed this passive ability to give stamina when the player was out of mana. Heavy Freeze updated the description to more accurately describe the cooldown. Ice Tomb increased the Ice Tomb health from 50% to 75% of caster's health. Entombed Burst reduced the mana cost from 20 to 10 mana. Sword and Shield, your heavy attack reduced recovery time by 0.15 seconds. For the Great Axe Enduring Strike, the grit windows for attacks empowered by this passive ability have had a consistency pass to make sure they only last until the end of the strikes. Bloodlust, they updated description to clarify the correct effective range of 15 meters. Light attacks and non-fully charged heavy attacks reduced homing range detection from 4.5 to 3.5 meters. Base crit damage reduced from 40 to 30%. Bloodlust haste bonus reduced from 30 to 20%. Reap damage on initial pull reduced from 110% weapon damage to 70% weapon damage. For the Void Gauntlet, Putrefying Screams has had their maximum percentage reduced. It could scale up to 50%, but now it's 30%. Void Collar fixed an issue where Void Collar passive could trigger with regular basic attacks. An issue where the Void Collar cooldown will reset when swapping weapons has also been fixed. Glimpse of the Void, they fixed an issue where the Glimpse of the Void cooldown would reset when swapping weapons. For Orb of the Decay, the Detonating Orb fixed an issue where Detonating Orb could trigger backstabs. That's wild. For the Spear, they've increased the hit shape size and attack homing on all thrust attacks. Skewer has increased lunge distance by 50%. Perforate has increased rotation speed during the ability. Strong Conditioning fixed an issue where the Strong Conditioning buff could be cancelled by using a Honing Stone. Strong Conditioning no longer shows a text pop-up when triggered. For the AI, the general AI, for the Abominations, they fixed an issue with bite and swipe attacks on larger scaled Abominations that made them miss. For the Ancient Guardian Mage, they fixed an issue causing the Mage's rolling spell to sometimes hit behind the Mage. For the Ancient Guardian Reaver, they fixed an issue that could cause the Reaver to die at the end of his retreating state. Big Cats fixed an issue causing Cat-type AI to not respect level disparity for perception. For the Brutes, they removed the Gravity Vortex ability from the Outpost Rush Corrupted Ogre, fixed an issue preventing Outpost Rush Corrupted Ogres from being staggered, and an issue preventing Invasion Brutes from being staggered. The Dynasty Musketeer fixed an issue causing the Musketeer to sometimes choose retreat positions that required them to run long distances to a position that is nearby. Entropy, they fixed an issue prevented Entropy from being gathered. Heavy fixed an issue causing heavy AI characters to not properly play their stagger animation. For the Spring Stag has cleaned up its diet and will no longer drop emotes while it moves. Expedition AI. General Expedition AI fixed a rare issue that allowed boss enemies to prematurely use their group wipe ability to kill all players. And Marine Excavation, Simon Gray fixed a rare issue allowing Simon's consumability to deal damage to himself. Hey, put that issue back in the game. The Depth fixed the issue caused AI to get stuck in the retreating state in the depths. Archdeacon Azamelia fixed the issue that rarely allowed the Archdeacon to see and target players outside of his room. For Captain Thorpe, Darkness Calls Fire Ring will now apply a single tick of damage and burn when players run into it. Fire Charge will now more rapidly apply 3 stacks of burn. Burn is now capped at 3 stacks, down from 5. Dynasty Shipyard, Isabella's Tigers, fixed an issue causing Isabella's cannons to not properly deal damage on impact, fixed an issue causing Isabella's wave beam attack to hit players twice, increased the aggro radius for Isabella's musketeers so that they always target a player. For Empress Tai Ying, the Empress will now dash to players who are far away, fixed several issues that allowed the Empress to accidentally kill players who are in death's door, fixed an issue allowing the Empress corruption wave to hit a player twice if they were standing between the 2 waves of corruption. Lazarus Instrumentality, Demos, fixed an issue that could cause Demos' lunging spear attack to miss players in melee range. For Scylla, they fixed an issue causing Scylla's arcane wave attack to hit players twice, fixed an issue causing Scylla's arcane snares to execute players who were in death's door, and fixed an issue causing Scylla's arcane bomb spell to continue casting after she is dead. Note, there is still another issue that allows players this to happen, and we're continuing to look into solutions. So much. AI fixes. Adjusted slicer. Decreased spawn rate from 1 slicer every 5 seconds to 1 slicer every 10 seconds. Increased duration from 10 seconds to 20 seconds. Fixed an issue where standing on top of the slicer would not continue to apply damage. For economy progression and loot. Writing down timestamps here. Trade skill aptitude. We want to continue rewarding the effort you make to craft items for yourself, your friends, or to make some coin on the trading post. So we have introduced trade skill aptitude. Upon reaching level 200 in trade skill, the leveling circle in the UI will update to show 3 markers equidistant from each other on the circle. So I guess that means equally distant. Earning trade skill XP will begin progressing you again, and when you reach one of these markers, you will be rewarded with a container of useful items that are mostly trade skill relevant, such as craft mods, special ingredients, and even schematics and recipes. Each subsequent marker awards a more spectacular container with more rewards than the one before. I'm falling apart, guys. Gaining enough XP to go all the way around the circle will increment the aptitude counter by 1. This counter will keep counting so you can keep track of how many times you wrapped your progress around the top level. We have also introduced a new type of reward for the system, equipment patterns. Equipment patterns are crafting artifacts that enable you to craft a guaranteed Gear Score 600 item that has a specific appearance. Patterns require a significant amount of powerful crafting resources to create, but guarantee a Gear Score 600 item. Patterns still roll perks, and players have the normal amount of control over their outcome with craft mods and Azoth. Equipment patterns have a small chance of drop from Arcana, weaponsmithing, armoring, and engineering aptitude reward caches. For refining, they added refining recipes that let you refine 250 of a tier 5 raw ore, wood, fiber, or rawhide into one legendary material. For instance, you can now convert 250 orichalcum ore into one tolvium. Orichalcum ingots can now be crafted with platinum as well as star metal. Under loot, there are a number of knights in the game that have valuable named items for level 20 to 25 players. Seek them out and take their treasure for them. The gash named Ring previously had the incorrupt gem slotted into it. It now correctly has a minor armor gem in it. Added tier 5 amulet ring and earring drops that randomly rolls all stats and gear score to all level 60 plus content. Previously, there were only named trinkets dropping at this tier, so this should accelerate trinket expertise as well. Faction shields no longer have a damage perk on them. Enchanted. Round shields now have a refreshing ward. Kite shields have keenly fortified, and tower shields now have hated. The Moonless Knight Void Gauntlet was renamed to Wine Dark Knight. The Primordial Weapon set was previously Attire Shield and Ice Gauntlet. These have been added and dropped from the same activities as other primordial weapons. Boots of Channel Energy previously had an incorrect perk, Siphoning. This perk is only available on weapons and has been swapped out for Afflicted. The Unhallowed Soul of Mirkgard named AI erroneously did not have any drops. It now drops 3 named items, a spear, a life staff, and an amulet. More feminine armor appearances have been added to the game as the world turns. As world drops. Crafting, we removed corrupted shards and lodestones as required ingredients to craft arena keys and added 5 runestone. We did this to make arena keys not compete for the same resources as expedition keys. For fishing, Mad Tom fish now breaks down into Mad Tom toxins, which can be used in alchemy with a chance of fish oil on breakdown. A number of fishing armor items are now eligible to be bought and sold on the trading post. These are all items that a player could potentially not get during his first quest, as reward boxes something roll 1 piece out of 2 or 3 at random. This update ensures that all players have access to all pieces of armor to complete every set if they wish. Now we got some notable bug fixes. The token and coin cost of the tier 2 faction health and mana potions for Syndicate now match the other factions. War previously did not drop a War Void Gauntlet. A Void Gauntlet has been added in the possible reward. Fixed an issue that was causing Void Gauntlets not naturally roll their ability specific bonuses when dropped and crafted. An issue that was causing Chest and Lazarus Instrumentality and Garden of Genesis to not respect the gear score value of the expedition. An issue that was causing the Outpost Rush in the game overview to display 0 for all assets. Fixed an issue, a display issue with Outpost Rush compass icons that could cause them to disappear, which should be also address some of the compass related issues. Fixed an issue causing trading post purchases tax to go to the settlement at which an item was listed for sale instead of the settlement where it was purchased. Fixed an issue that was causing the Nothingness Void Gauntlet to require Eternal Ice instead of an Empty Heart to be crafted. Fixed an issue preventing Forms of Tallow from being used as a crafting mod. When crafting items, the relevant perks are Accuracy, Mortal Refreshment, and Refreshing Toast. UX, UI, and social. Updated loading screen systems. Adjusted system so that it loads in different screens depending on where the player is loading into. Added tips to the load screens, which will be a mix of general tips and tips specific to your destination. Updated social and navbar UI. Updated the art and layout of the menu for improved readability. Updated notification numbers to be more noticeable. Added room for a social panel and made it more accessible. The notable fixes here they have improved the logic of Azoth Cap warning so that it only occurs at certain thresholds to avoid notification spam. Fixed a number of issues with the compass that should make it more reliable when switching game modes. Fixed the icons for town project crafting. They now show the town project blue icon, not the standard yellow quest icon. You now only show the message starting that you cannot damage other players when not PvP flagged once. These messages got annoying doing PvE content with other faction members. Added audio to a bunch of UI actions to help provide feedback. The action was successful, repairing gear, entering housing submenus, changing submenus in the company section, expanding collapsing lists in crafting stations from filter boxes, and when changing the chat feeds. Fixed an issue that was causing pings within some expeditions to display underground. Added ambient audio to various crafting and refining stations. Added better support for multi-monitor setups. Fixed a rare issue that caused the game to incorrectly salvage a random item of the type your cursor was over when rapidly salvaging items. Fixed an issue that sometimes caused players to stop receiving banner notifications for friend, group, and company invites. The next one over here is the PTR, what changed from there. I'm not going to go too deep into that as I'm not quite familiar with playing the PTO by itself, but these are a lot of cool changes that are coming to the game. Pretty curious to see how everything is going to work out, how this new event's going to play out. Looks all pretty cool and pretty fun. And I hope they get these bugs fixed and the game working the way they intended to. It's been kind of crazy these past few months as the game has come out, but I mean, it's still a good game to chill in and have some fun. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. I know it was a long one. I think I fell asleep once or twice during it. So until next time, guys, I'll see you guys in the game. Peace.